Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 10 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 10 math, and then click on view all links. There you can find a list of chapters. We going to start with the chapter angles. The lessons we're going to cover today are angle vocabulary, angle measures, identify complementary, supplementary, vertical, adjacent, and congruent angles, find measure of complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. Here I'm in grade 10 math. Chapter we are on right now is angles. Let's just start with the first lesson, that is angle vocabulary. At the angles. Angle U, V, W. Angle V is the vertex. Because V is common on both ways, so V is the vertex. Let's just start with each questions. Look at this angle. What is the vertex? Vertex is the one that is common for both ways. So which is the correct option? So U is the vertex. The correct option is U. Option number 1 is the correct option. Option number 1 is the correct option. Look at this angle. What is the vertex? X is the vertex. The correct option is X. Option 1 is the correct option. Look at this angle. What is the vertex? Which is the correct option? That is angle T. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is the Look at this angle. What is the vertex? Which is the correct option? Angle T is the correct option. T is the vertex. The correct option is T. Look at this angle. What is the vertex? Option number 2 is the correct option. That is W. Look at this angle. U is the vertex. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later. Let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is angle measures. What is the measurement of this angle? One wave is lined up to 0 degrees on the inside ring, which is same as 180 degrees on the outside ring. Read the angle measurement on the inner ring where the other ray closes the protector. So the angle measured is 20 degrees. The correct option is 20. Let's just start with the test questions. What is the measurement of the angle? So you have to line up the, the protector with one of the line that match with a zero, and with the other line you have to measure the angle. So we have to measure the angle on the outside ring because one of the line is match up with a zero. So that is 170 degrees. Option number one is the correct option. Okay, the next one is what is the measurement of the angle? So which is the correct option? 5 degrees. Option number two is the correct option. What is the measurement of this angle? Option number one is the option that is 60 degrees. What is the measurement of this angle? That is 15 degrees. Option number one is the correct option. What is the measurement of this angle? That is 105 degrees. Option number two is the correct option. What is the measurement of the angle, which is the correct option? 80-degree it is. Option number 2 is the correct option. What is the measurement of this angle? That is 10 degrees. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is 40 degrees. Option number 1 is the correct option. The correct option is 40 degrees. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself. Okay, let me just move on to the next lesson. The next lesson is identify complementary, supplementary, vertical, adjacent, and congruent angles. What is an angle that is congruent to angle 6? Complementary to angle 6. The angle that is complementary to angle 6 is angle 1. The correct angle 1 it is. Let's just start with the test questions. What is the angle that is supplementary to angle EGA? Okay, EGA. Supplementary angles are the angle that measures 1 to 180 degrees. So EGA, the supplementary angle is DGE. That is AGB or DGE, but that is ABG. Option number one is the correct option. That is not ABC. ABG it is. What is the angle that is complementary to angle 6? Complementary angles are the angles that measures to 90 degrees. So angle complementary to angle 6 is angle 1 or angle 4. Basically, that is just angle 1, not angle 6. Other than that itself, which angle is congruent to angle BEC? Which angle is congruent to angle BEC? Angle DEA is the correct option. Which angle is vertical to angle GHF? Which angle is vertical to angle GHF? That is angle BHA. Which angle is vertical to angle 9? That is angle 11. Vertical angles are the angles that are formed on the opposite sides of two lines that are intersecting each other. So angle 11 is the correct option. What? Which angle is vertical to angle B? Angle 5 it is. Option number 2 is the correct option. Which angle is adjacent to angle CDA? That is angle ADB. Option number 2 is the correct option. Which other than self, which angle is congruent to angle 1? Angle 4 it is. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself here today. Let me just move on to the next lesson. Find measures of complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. Measure of an angle is 61 degrees. What is the measure of a complementary angle? Complementary angles are the angles that sums to 90 degrees. So the missing angle plus 61 is 90. So n equals 29 degrees. The measurement of the complementary angle is 29 degrees. Let's just start with the test questions. The measure of an angle is 155 degrees. What is the measure of a supplementary angle? Supplementary angles are the angles that sums to 108 degrees. So that is 155 plus x is 180. X equals 180 minus 150. That is 20 degrees. Option number one is the correct option. That is 25 degrees. The measure of an angle is 34 degrees. What is the measure of a supplementary angle? That is 146 degrees. Option number two is the correct option. The measure of an angle is 11 degrees. What is the measure of a complementary angle? The correct option is the measure of an angle is 11 degrees. What measure? What is the measure of a complementary angle? That is 79 degrees. Option number one is the correct option. That is 79 degrees. What is the value of C? That is 29 plus 61 equals 90 degrees. That is 166 degrees. Option number one is the correct option. One hundred and 15 plus 65 equals 180 degrees. That is 14 degrees. Option number one is the correct option. Okay, the next one is what is the value of B, which is the correct option? Option number two is the correct option. That is option one is the correct option, 49 degrees. That is 49 degrees. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself today. So we were working on written math. Chapter we were working on is angles. The lessons we have covered today are angle vocabulary, angle measures, identify complementary, supplementary, vertical adjacent and congruent angles, find measures of complementary, supplementary, vertical and adjacent angles. So we're working on grade 10 math. Chapter we're working on is angles. The lessons we have covered today are angle vocabulary, angle measures, identify complementary, supplementary, vertical, adjacent, and congruent angles. Find measures of complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply live chat with them.